biotic and abiotic factors. We had some homework talking about a grassland, and I asked you each to observe a grassland, list some biotic and abiotic factors. Can anyone remind me what an abiotic factor is? Raise your hand. Sarah, what is an abiotic factor?
Non-living.
Awesome, great job. An abiotic factor means the factor, the whatever it is, organism, or the thing, it wouldn't be an organism, is non-living. Great job. How about a biotic factor? Can anyone remind me what a biotic factor is? Sophie, go ahead. Sophie, I'm not able to hear your microphone. Why don't you check to make sure it is working? I don't remember if you were someone that had trouble last week, but if you were, try to log out, log back in. Make sure it is working. Arsad is a biotic factor. Arsad, what is a biotic factor?
Living things.
Awesome, thank you very much. Living things. Great job remembering the difference between those two. What we are going to do first to start off for today is I'm going to pull up not your biotic and your abiotic factories that you guys did for homework, because every single one of you did phenomenal on those. You all remembered and were able to tell me the difference between biotic and abiotic factors in your ecosystem. Zana, you have a question?
I cannot hear you, what you just said. You've gone out. I cannot hear you at all.
Okay, well, we are going to go ahead and check to see or go over the observations that you guys made last week or at some point during this week on your grasslands. So I have everyone who turned them in, I have cut and pasted up on the screen. So if you look on your PowerPoint screen, you should see them. Now, I did not put the biotic and abiotic factors up here. I only listed your observations. So if you would like to read your observations, you certainly may. If you would like me to read them, I will do that as well. So MacArthur looks like he's having some login issues, so we're going to skip him. Bay, would you like to read your observations? Or would you like me to read them?
Okay.
Okay. Bay wrote, I hear birds tweeting. It's a sunny day and it's a little warm. My animals are very calm and Max is a little annoying, helping me with my homework. And I smell some pony poop. So Bay did a great job using different senses. He included your sense of hearing. He included his sense of smell. He included his sense of touch by saying it's warm out. And your sense of sight by saying it is a sunny day. So great job. MacArthur. Oh, I'm sorry, Bay. I knew that. She included. MacArthur, I see that you're back. Would you like to go ahead and share your observations with us? I have them up on the PowerPoint screen. Either you can share them or I will read them. Just let me know. I certainly can. MacArthur wrote, "On Thursday afternoon, I took a walk to observe one of the pastures on our farm. I saw 6 cows walking among the trees. I heard birds chirping, cows mooing, and a car driving on the road about a half-mile away. I could smell hay on the good pine scent from the trees. I touched Sweetie, who is one of my calves. I love walking around our pastures." Again, MacArthur did a great job using his sense of sight by seeing the cows, sense of smell, smelling the hay on the ground and the pine scent, and your sense of touch, touching Sweetie, and your sense of hearing with the birds and the cows mooing. Great job. Arsad, yours was next. Would you like to share yours with us, or would you like me to go ahead and read it? Up to you. Okay, I can hear your microphone, Arsad, but I can't hear you talking. So why don't you go ahead and give it a shot and see if you can try again.
I see a cow is eating the grass. I hear a bird sound. I smell something bad from the soil.
Awesome. He has his sense of sight, his sense of sound, and sense of smell. Great job. Now, Sarah, yours is next. Would you like to go ahead and try, Sarah? Yes, you, Sarah.
As I sat in the grass, I could see the cats and dogs playing. I could also smell the neighbors grilling supper, and as I sat there, I listened to the wind blowing through the trees.
Great. Good job, Sarah. Thank you very much. You can hear the you could hear the wind through the trees. You could see the grass and the cats playing, so you were using your sense of sight. And you could smell the neighbors grilling, so you were using your sense of smell. Great job. Next, I have Sophie's. Sophie's having a few issues, so Bella, you are next. Would you like to read, Bella, or would you like me to read?
Can you?
Sure thing. So Bella has, "I had fun observing my grassland. The grass and soil were cold and muddy when I touched them. There was still snow in spots. I could see the sun shining on the grassland. The birds were chirping loudly." All right, and I'm going to read Sophie's while I'm here. And then, Xana, you have a question?
Oh no, I was because we did not know if you're supposed to raise your hand, so then you can tell them your homework.
Okay, perfect. Yours actually is coming up next. I just put them up in order up here, but I do have yours up here. So Let me do Sophie's quick. All right, so Sophie has, I see a large field of grass next to the ocean with a picnic table and park benches and many separate grass areas around it with a footpath and a park. It is cold here, the ground feels wet, and there are some puddles I can jump in. I can hear the birds. It does not really smell like anything. So Sophie used her sense of sight, her sense of touch by feeling the ground, and she said she didn't really smell anything. So that still, even though you don't smell anything, that still is using her sense of smell. Now, Xana's is a image, so we are going to look at our whiteboard. And I'm going to pull up Xana's for us. So if everyone can look at your whiteboard, remember that is your bottom right-hand screen. Okay, now let me just try to spin it maybe. All right, Xana, yours looks like it's going to be sideways. So either you can try to read it or I can try to read it. It's up to you.
I would like you to read it, please.
Okay, so Xana has the grasslands I explored are in Hudson, Florida. The grasslands have water on one side and a forest on the other side. I saw yellow flowers, hawks, and even saw 2 turtles feeding on the grass. I stopped to pet 1 turtle and got to swing from a vine. So Xana used her sense of touch when she touched the turtle and her sense of sight. So great job, everyone, on your homework assignments. I was very impressed. You all did fantastic. Some of you went ahead and did the optional assignment, which was to send a picture of your spot. So let me put those up here, and we're all going to take a look at them. So if you take a look at your PowerPoint screen, you can see what Bay observed. Okay, she has some little, I guess, goats up here. And this is her grassland. On your whiteboard, it is look at that. The white one is a goat, and the little one is a sheep. I guess I need to make the pictures larger so I can see them better. But great job sending me that in. Okay, and if you look at your whiteboard, I have somebody else's up here, their grassland. Sarah, you have a question?
I could not see the goats in the picture.
Yes, we certainly can see the goats in Bay's picture. And the pony. Yes, see the pony as well. So today we are going to talk about grasslands as a class. And we are going to do a little bit of discovering what a grassland is. So if you go ahead and look at your PowerPoint screens, some of you may have a really good idea of what a grassland is. You all did a great job observing grasslands. So there's a couple of different words for grasslands. Some can be called a prairie or a plain in North America, and in other places like Russia, they could be called a steppe. Different parts of the country or different parts of the world, like we talked about last week with the taxonomy and the names of animals, call ecosystems by different names. So what we are talking about now is a grassland. Grasslands are named for the dominant species in that area. So the dominant species, or the most common vegetation in a grassland, is what? Raise your hand. What do you think the most common type of vegetation or type of plant is? Faye, go ahead. Awesome, grass. There's tons and tons of different types of grass, but the most common species in a grassland is a type of grass. Good job. In the United States, most grasslands are found at temperate latitudes. Okay? Most of the United States are at a temperate latitude. Very similar to where you would find deciduous forests. Now, a deciduous forest is a forest that has trees in it or bushes that lose their leaves. So if you are somewhere in the United States or somewhere else in the world and you live in an area where in the fall time the leaves fall off of your trees, you live in an area that could have grasslands. Grass plants dominate the grasslands because usually there is too little water for trees to grow. Now let's think about a big tree. Maybe you have a tree out in your front yard or in the woods near you that's 100 feet tall. That's really not that tall for a tree. But let's pretend you have a 100-foot tall tree. That tree needs a lot of water. Now let's pretend you have some grass. If you don't cut grass down, most of the time the highest it can be is like 3 feet. And then it just doesn't get any taller. So that tree that's 100 feet tall is going to need a lot more water than that grass that's only 3 feet tall. As far as humans are concerned, grasslands are the most important biome. Grasslands are very fertile, which means their soil is very good for growing things, and they can produce a lot of biomass each year. Well, that's kind of a little bit of a tricky term. Biomass means you can grow lots of stuff, lots of crops, corn, wheat, soybeans. You can grow lots of crops in grasslands. The grasslands are called, and this is in quotes, the bread baskets of the world. It's where most of our food is produced. Sarah, go ahead. You have a question?
You stopped talking and then you started back.
Okay. Then I will just repeat that. I was really just reading from the slide. So grasslands are very fertile with the ability to produce a lot of biomass each year. Grasslands are the bread baskets of the world. It is where most of our foods are produced. Grasslands are normally found in the center of larger continents away from oceans. So here is in red where the true grasslands exist in North America. Now, many of you observed grassy areas, which have lots of similar characteristics to grasslands. But the true grasslands of the United States are where it is red. The way that a grassland, or where a grassland is found, is usually the leeward side of the mountain that is drier. It's screened from the rain, so it's kind of blocked from the rain because of the mountains. That causes very rich soil. The grasslands in the United States are some of the richest soil in the world. Grasslands can be used to produce wheat and corn where enough water is available. In other countries, grasslands also produce rice. And here's a picture of a rice field and some workers picking rice. Now, we talked about abiotic factors last week, so here are some abiotic factors of grasslands. An abiotic factor would be the amount of rain the grassland gets each year. So, an abiotic factor is a grassland gets between 10 and 30 inches of rain or precipitation each year. They generally have flat or rolling terrain. They generally are windy. Oftentimes, there's a seasonal drought. It may be dry in the summer, it may be dry in the winter. They have a thick layer of topsoil. It's called an A1 layer. And they oftentimes are ravaged or really affected by fires. Now, here are some biotic factors of a grassland. Do I have any volunteers that might want to read this slide for me? Xana, go ahead.
There are two general types of grass plants. One solid, which is a continuous mat. Two bunch, which is found in clumps with space between the clumps. Sod reproduces by underground stems, while bunch grass reproduces by above ground tillers. Some grasses can be both types depending on moisture and soil condition.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Xana. So this is one of the main biotic factors of a grassland is grass. And Xana just read to us about sod, which if you've ever tried to plant or your parents have tried to plant a their yard, you might use sod, which is real grass, but it gets delivered to your house already grown and you just lay it down. So that's one biotic factor. And here is a close-up picture of sod. Okay, you have two pieces of grass labeled new grass clump, and you have the roots down underneath it, and the little green line connecting the two is one of the tillers. While grasses dominate grassland biome, they are certainly not the only plant found here. Other forms, that should say, such as thistle, ragweed, and other wildflowers are also common. Sometimes yuccas and cactus can be found in drier grassy areas. Even very small drought-tolerant trees like junipers and pinyon pines can be found, scattered across parts of grasslands. There are also some exotic species that have been introduced. A dandelion. Now, a dandelion is not an exotic species in my lawn. They are all over the place. However, originally, dandelions were exotic species. Daisies, alfalfa, mustard, and clover are all exotic species that can be found in grasslands. So here's a picture of a savanna. Most savannas are found in Africa. A savanna is a type of grassland. It is an area where scattered trees are spaced over grasslands. Savannas are ecotones, or areas where woodlands fade out into prairies. And here's a good picture of a savanna. You can see it is mostly grass, and it's mostly taller grasses, because those are some pretty big animals, with a few trees interspaced between the grasses. Those were bison in that picture, MacArthur. Now here we have an emery oak savanna, which is just a different type of savanna. These are found in the United States in the western U.S. You can see the same thing, some tall grasses. In the background, you can see some widely spaced trees. And in the foreground, kind of in the middle of the picture, that's a type of succulent or a type of cactus plant. There are 4 grasslands in the United States. There are tall grass prairies, there are mid-grass prairies, short grass prairies, and desert prairies. Now, we are going to talk about desert grasslands when we talk about deserts. So let's focus on those top 3 today. Based on their names, let's make some educated guesses or an hypothesis about the difference between a tall grass prairie, a mid-grass prairie, and a short grass prairie. Anyone want to share their best guess? Who has a guess as to what the differences are? Jackson, go ahead. I'm not able to hear you talking, Jackson, so we're going to go over to Sarah.
I mean, one can be taller, one can be shorter, one can be like right in the middle of them.
Awesome. That's exactly right. The main difference is the height of the grass. So let's go and take a closer look. Here on the map of the United States is where you will see tall grass prairies in green, mostly through the very middle part of the country and extending up through Canada. Tall grass prairies receive the most rainfall of any of the grasslands. This allows the grass to grow tall. More rain, remember, means taller vegetation. The grass in the grasslands can grow to be as high as 5 or 6 feet. The dominant species of grasses are the big blue stem, the goldenrod, the snake root, and bedstraw. Today, the native plants and animals mostly associated with tall grass prairies are all gone and have been replaced by a domestic tall grass, which is corn. The tall grass prairie makes up what we today call the corn belt in the United States. Here we have the midgrass prairie in orange on the map of the United States. Grasses in the mid-prairie grow between 2 and 3 feet in height. And here are some pictures. And here's a picture of a farm in the midgrass prairie. You can see the mountains in the background. And here's a picture of a short grass prairie or a short grass plain. The short grass plain is shown here in the orangey yellow color on our map. The short grass prairie receives less rain. It makes a poor cropland unless it's irrigated, so unless a farmer is watering a lot. Sometimes farmers can grow hay here, but usually they need some sort of irrigation. Short grass prairies are used mostly as rangeland for cattle grazing. The plains animals naturally keep moving, so they don't overgraze one particular area. Sometimes the cattle are kept in place by fences, which results in them overgrazing or eating too much of an area. Here is a different biotic factor on the short grass prairies, and that's a pronghorn antelope. And the last, or one of the other biotic factors, is a prairie rattlesnake. Yes, Jackson, pronghorns are very, very fast. And they need to be to survive on the prairies. There are very few spots for animals to hide in the open grasslands or prairies. The animals need to be very fast to get away from predators, and they need to be able to camouflage really well. Anyone have any questions about the grasslands that we just talked about? Okay. Well, we are going to do a little project. We are going to build a terrarium. Now, this project has to do not only with just prairies, but all of our terrestrial biomes that we are going to talk about today. So what I need everyone to do is to go get your materials. For materials, you are supposed to have a 2-liter or similar bottle, plastic bottle, scissors, dirt, plant, worm if you have it, and some small rocks. You also could definitely need an adult if you are going to do this along with me. So I just put everything in the text chat. Go ahead and grab all of those supplies, please. you, okay? Once you have all of your supplies, go ahead and click yes. If you're not doing the lab along with us, please just go ahead and click yes so I know that I can go ahead and continue. Okay, if you're not doing the lab or the activity with us, that is perfectly fine. Just please go ahead and write it on this, write yes, so I'm not waiting for you. Xana, you have a question? Okay, it looks like I'm waiting for Jackson to say he's ready and Xana. So if you're ready, let me know. All right. Okay. Sorry, guys, my mic was off. Thank you very much for catching that so soon. Today we are going to make a terrarium. A terrarium is a land-based, meaning using dirt, not a water, sort of aquarium. You are going to use a container. Now instead of a 2-liter bottle, I'm using a Hawaiian Punch container just because that's what I had. And our first step is we need to cut a top off of it. So this is where you need an adult. If you don't have an adult with you, I do not want you to do this. Okay, did everyone just hear me? If you do not have an adult, I do not want you to do this part. You can do it at some other point before next week. What you are going to do is cut the bottle about 1/3 of the way from the top. There is no need to measure, just approximately, so that you have 2 halves, or a 2/3 side and a 1/3 side. So that is step number 1. Once you have that complete, you are going to take your small pebbles and you are going to put them into the bottom of your terrarium. When you have done that step, please click yes. Yes, Xana, you have a question?
Oh, see, I see we have little rocks. We don't have pebbles. Like,
little stones, and if you don't even have stones, it's okay. Basically, what the stones are going to do is, in case you or a helpful brother or sister waters your soil too much, the stones are just going to keep water sort of at the bottom and from absorbing all into your dirt. So if you don't have them, or you have something a little bit different, that's perfectly fine. Okay, the next thing you are going to do is you are going to take your soil and you are going to dump it into your terrarium. Now, I'm not doing that on camera because I am afraid I will spill it all over my computer screen, or my computer keyboard, actually. So I'm going to put mine to the side, and now I have my dirt in my terrarium. You want to fill it a third of the way. You want it at least a couple of inches. The actual amount of dirt in there is not super, super important. Now what you are going to do is you are going to plant your plant. So you're going to dig a little hole with your finger, your pencil, and you are going to put your plant inside. Now, unfortunately, I cannot plant my plant today. I went to the store yesterday, I bought a nice little pansy for my terrarium, and I left it on my kitchen table last night. And my cat decided she liked my pansy, and she ate my pansy. So I need to go back to the store and buy a new pansy. So I will not be planting a plant today. But if you have a plant, you are going to take it and you are going to plant it towards the center of your terrarium. If you have your worm, you are going to add it to your terrarium as well. Just put it right on top. It will find its way in through the dirt. Then you are going to pour a little bit of water to moisten the soil. You are going to take your lid and you are going to put it on your terrarium. And you are going to find somewhere nice and sunny to keep your terrarium. Before you go find somewhere nice and sunny, would anyone like to show us, turn your video camera on, and show us a picture of your terrarium? I would love to see the start. And each week for the next 4 weeks, we are going to take a look at these terrariums. So Sarah, your hand was up first. I'm going to turn my camera off, and Sarah's on. Go ahead, Sarah.
This is my terrarium, and and I chose this plant and out of our yard, and
Well, thank you very much, Sarah. That is a gorgeous little plant. I think it's great. Normally when I teach this class, I can go get a plant out of my yard too, but we have had so much snow this year that I still have a lot of snow. Great job. Now what you're going to want to do is put where in the sun so that next week we are going to take a look at it again. Would anyone else like to turn on their cameras? Let's see your terrarium.
Not bad.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That looks like a great terrarium too. Same thing. You're going to want to put it somewhere nice and sunny so that your plant can continue to grow. Would anyone else like to share their video or turn their video on so we can see your terrarium? MacArthur, it doesn't look like you have a camera enabled. Go to the bottom left-hand side of your screen. Click on the little wrench. Go ahead and click Camera Settings and make sure that your camera is enabled. Do you see where that is? While he's doing that, would anyone else like to share theirs? All right, Xana. Go ahead.
Wait, turn it.
Turn the camera.
Okay. I did. Hold on.
What?
Hold on. We're having problems. I did hold it.
Okay.
Okay. So I put my worms in it, and here is my aquarium. I put some 2 worms in it, and I put some of these into a Coke bottle. So that's what I put.
Awesome. Great job, Xana. Thank you very much. And anyone else want to share theirs? All right. These are going to go somewhere nice and sunny. So hopefully next week when we look at them, we will see some great growth. Now what I would like you guys to do is go ahead and look at our whiteboard screen. I am going to put a picture up here of a grassland. I am going to put a square up here, and I would like you to make some observations. What are some biotic and abiotic factors in this grassland? Xana, you have a question? Go ahead.
Some abiotic, you mean in the aquarium, the abiotic and biotic?
Nope, we're actually not going to look at the aquarium or the terrarium right now. We will look at the terrariums, but not right this second. We're going to do that next week. I want to give them a week to kind of take shape. What I would like you to do right now is look at your whiteboard screen. And I put a picture up here of a grassland. I just unlocked everyone's screen so that you can now write on the whiteboard. So go ahead and write some biotic and abiotic factors up here. If you have a hard time writing on the whiteboard, you can either put it in the text chat or you can let me know, and I will go ahead and I will write it up for you once we give everybody a chance to write for a minute. All right, well, there are some great biotic and abiotic factors up here. Most of the ones up here are biotic. However, there are some of you who went ahead and tried to do abiotic. I'm going to try to delete some of the texts, just words up here. All right. Okay, so we have biotic factors. Flowers, grass. I'm going to check the biotic factors with green. Grasses, trees. Oh, maybe. Grass, trees. A lot of people have trees up here. Great job. Bushes, flowers, flowers, grass, trees. Good job. Now the abiotic factors I'm going to mark blue. We have light, sunny, clouds, clouds again. We also have grass in the text chat. Great job. Great job looking at the biotic and abiotic factors. Another abiotic factor, we could do the temperature. Okay, if it was windy, we could write wind speed. But those are things we can't really tell by looking at the picture. But great job doing that activity. Now, would anybody like to take a guess, and I'm going to get rid of this grassland picture, and next week in your homework tonight, we are going to look at forests. Now, a forest is an area on the land that is covered with trees. That is the basic definition of a forest. So who can go ahead and think about some characteristics that we may see in a forest? Go ahead and put them over on the whiteboard. All right, so great job. There are some great characteristics up here. Someone keeps putting little texts up here. The best thing to do is if you start typing and the text word comes up, just type your words, whatever you're trying to write, rather than continuing to try to start a new spot. Okay, you cannot erase. I have taken the erase ability away from all of you. You can backspace the word text, but you cannot erase. And that is so you don't erase someone else's work on accident. So next week we're going to switch from grasslands to forests, and we are going to do a homework assignment very similar to this week, but using a forest. I will go ahead and put a link up there in case you do not have a forest near you that you can go ahead and observe. And you will do the same thing, list some biotic factors, list some abiotic factors, and make some observations about your forest. You can send me a picture of your forest if you want. The homework will be up in about 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, so don't run to Moodle right now to do the assignment. Give it a couple of minutes. I don't put it up until class is over so that no one is working on it during class. Does anybody have any questions about anything we talked about or looked at today in class? So your homework is forests. You are going to take your terrarium and you are going to put it somewhere sunny. Sarah, you had a question. Go ahead.
About my terrarium, am I supposed to put the bottle top on it?
Fantastic question, Sarah. Yes, you should. Putting the bottle top on top of your terrarium will allow the temperature in the terrarium to be warmer than the outside air. So if you're keeping it in your house, the best thing to do is put the lid on it. It will keep the moisture inside of it. You also are going to water it if it looks like it's getting dry. Depending on where you live, you may need to water it every day, or you may need to water it just once during the week. You'll have to look at that and decide with your parents. Zana, go ahead.
Like, do I have to put the aquarium outside? Oh.
It is up to you if you want your terrarium inside or outside. Where I live, I can't put mine outside yet because it's still too cold. We have some people who are in Florida, California, Louisiana. Yours, it's probably warm enough where you are to go ahead and put your terrarium outside. That is completely up to you and your parents. Anyone else have any questions?
One thing, about the aquarium lid, do you need a hole, like you need a lid you need to put a hole in the lid?
You should be fine because your lid is not, like, even if you put it back on top, it's not going to form a tight seal. So some air is still going to get in. You certainly can put a couple holes in the top if you want, but I don't think that you have to. Anyone else? Sarah, go ahead.
Well, we can wear my bottle top. Is it okay if we did that again and maybe got a new plant and did it again?
You certainly can. Yep. Well, that's the end of class. If you have a question, you certainly can stay on and I will answer your question. Otherwise, you are free to go. I hope you all have a great day, and thank you very much for coming.